Hello everyone, my name is Uncle Joe, the natural science teacher. So today we are going to consider one of the components of natural science, which is biology. And under the same course, we are going to consider digestion as a topic. Now, first to start with, let's understand what digestion is all about. What is digestion? Digestion is simply the breaking down of large food molecules into smaller soluble ones. For example, this is the large food molecules here. This is a large food molecule. So this food molecule here has to be broken down into smaller soluble ones. That is what digestion is all about. Animals exercises holozoic type of nutrition. This type of nutrition involves taking in of large food molecules. So if a large food molecule is taken in, for the food molecule, to be absorbed in the intestines, because this is where absorption takes place, it has to be digested. And digestion takes place in the alimentary canal. What I've drawn here, to the best of my ability, is the alimentary canal where the digestion takes place. So I'll repeat by defining the same digestion, because this is what marks the introduction of the topic. The introduction of a topic is very important to a learner, because it enables him to understand what exactly we'll be talking about as the explanation unfolds. So digestion is the breaking down of large food molecules into smaller soluble ones for the food to be absorbed and utilized by the body. There are actually two different types of digestion. We have what is known as physical digestion as well as the chemical digestion. So we can say digestion is categorized into two, the physical as well as the chemical digestion. Now, looking at the physical digestion, what is this physical digestion all about? So the physical digestion, this is a physical breaking down of food. Rather, this is the breaking down of food physically. Examples of physical digestion, which includes the chewing, which is also known as mastication. This is the example of the physical digestion. Another example of the physical digestion is emulsification. Emulsification takes place in the duodenum. What is this emulsification? It is the breaking down of large fat droplets into smaller soluble ones. Definitely, we'll understand more about emulsification as the explanation unfolds up to the duodenum. But to define emulsification, it is simply the breaking down of large fat droplets into smaller ones, and that is done by bile, which is secreted or produced by the liver. What about chemical digestion? What is the chemical digestion? This is the breaking down of large food into smaller soluble ones by an enzyme. Okay, so the enzyme in a chemical digestion is involved. I want to give you an example of a chemical digestion. One of the examples of the chemical digestion is the breaking down of starch to maltose by an enzyme called salivary amylase or amylase enzyme. So amylase enzyme will break down starch, which is a polysaccharide, to maltose, which is a disaccharide. So this breaking down of starch to maltose, but it is the chemical aspect of digestion. Now, this digestion starts in the mouth. This is where this digestion starts from. Okay? Allow me to explain now digestion in the mouth. Because what I was explaining, it wasn't digestion anywhere in the alimentary canal. It was rather the introduction so that you get to understand what digestion is all about, so that you get to understand the types of digestion, so that you understand the importance of digestion. Now, let me explain the digestion in the mouth. What happens in the mouth in terms of digestion? Now, in the mouth, okay, first the process that comes first is the ingestion. What is the ingestion? What is ingestion? Ingestion is simply the taking in of food in the mouth. Okay, the taking of food in the mouth, that is what ingestion is all about. This is the process that is going to come first. Before anything, the food has to be introduced in the mouth. So the food has been introduced in the mouth, and what follows is chewing. The chewing, which is the physical aspect of digestion. Chewing is the physical aspect of digestion. At the same time, the chewing, as you are trying to digest the food physically. Okay, now as you are chewing, you are digesting the food physically, you are also stimulating the glands, because the chewing action has got the potential to stimulate the glands that are located right inside the mouth. Those glands, okay, those glands, they are of three types. They are located right inside the mouth. So once there is that act of chewing, the glands will secrete the saliva because of the chewing action. So the saliva, which is going to be secreted by the glands now, so we are saying the gland secretes the saliva. Okay, so this is the saliva now secreted by the glands. What stimulates this? What is the glands to secrete the saliva is the chewing action. The chewing, which is also the physical aspect of digestion. So when saliva is secreted, the saliva contains an enzyme. The enzyme the saliva contains is what is called salivary amylase. Okay, that is the enzyme which is present in there. What is the function of this salivary amylase? The function of this salivary amylase is to break down starch to maltose. So starch to maltose is broken down by starch to maltose. It is actually broken down by the salivary amylase. That is one of the functions. Now, the same saliva here has got other functions also, apart from providing us with the enzyme which breaks down starch to maltose. The saliva also lubricates the food, okay, so that the food can easily be swallowed in the esophagus. Number two, the saliva also, it does what? The saliva also, number one, a food lubrication. Number two, we said the saliva also softens the food, okay. Number three, the saliva also cools the food. In case the food is very hot, it is the saliva that's supposed to cool the food so that the enzymes can work on the food without being denatured. Because when the temperature is too high, when the temperature is beyond normal, beyond maybe the optimal temperature of an enzyme, definitely the enzymes are likely to be denatured. So the saliva comes in to cool the food. So what I'm trying to outline here are the functions of the same saliva. The last one, the saliva also warms the food if the food is too cold. Because in case the food is too cold, then that will be a problem for an enzyme as well. An enzyme does not work in a low temperature. So those are the functions of the saliva. So this is exactly what happens in the mouth. I am saying the chewing action has stimulated the glands. The glands, they've secreted the saliva. The saliva contains the salivary amylase. So the salivary amylase breaks down starch to maltose. I think this is the reason why if enzyme is kept for a longer period of time in the mouth, the enzyme will start tasting sweet. Why? Because starch is being broken down to maltose. Note that the starch is a polysaccharide and maltose is a disaccharide. All these, they fall under carbohydrates, but of different different types, different classes of carbohydrates. So these are the functions of the saliva. There are about 4 of them. Now, by the action of the tongue here, the bolus is going to be formed, because by the time you were chewing, Okay, the food was scattered everywhere in the mouth. So the bolus, the tongue is going to put the food together and form a bolus. A bolus is simply the bowl of food. And then the bolus is going to be swallowed down the esophagus. It's going to be pushed into the esophagus.